Hi Sanjeev, my name is Georgie. I am so glad that you finally found the time to meet with me. I am one of the co-hosts and founders of this platform called Angel Stack. What we're trying to do is we're trying to give early stage founders like yourself a space where you'd be able to put yourself out there and talk about your product and what you're building. Because what we have realized is that a lot of us early stage founders, when we build our initial product, we cannot reach a your story or platforms as such where they would give us a kind of visibility. And I think early stage founders require that when they are building a product and so that they can put themselves out there in multiple social media profiles. And maybe even if we could write a blog article about you, that would really help, right? So that's the major intention behind this. Could you tell me a little bit about yourself and the idea that you're working on currently?
Sure, Georgie. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity today. It's my pleasure to speak with you about GroYouth, which is the passion with us right now. Uh, just to give a quick background of mine, I've been in the industry for close to about 33 years now, uh, managing large-scale skill development projects, recruitment services, uh, CSR projects, government projects which were on skilling. So there has been quite a journey through a period in time now. The gap which we are seeing in terms of what is being offered to a candidate who is seeking a job in the marketplace, that is where we saw certain gaps. And I think GroYouth is the journey which we have started for just ensuring that the youth of India get that opportunity in small tier two, tier three towns. They get that opportunity to work. Larger companies which mostly hire from metros, and the smaller location people are not able to reach out to larger companies because of a lot of gaps there in terms of either a reach or the messaging is doesn't reach them. So GoYouth becomes a bridge for them to reach out to the last mile candidates which are there available in tier 2, tier 3 towns and bring larger organizations and the capability of hiring from, say, any city within India. That is what we envisaged and that is what we are working on.
Perfect. And are you a solo founder or do you have co-founders
No,
in
I
this
have
project?
Ravi. No, I have Ravi. We are two partners in the setup. So we are recognized as an MSME. We are also recognized by the Startup India in terms of technology space. So if you look at GroYouth per se, Georgie, it is more like a tech space, HR tech space. That is the backbone. So what we are bringing on table is both looking at from the employment side and also from the side of employability. Because the major problem which we have seen is that the candidates do not know how to approach a particular job, and companies also do not know where to find candidates which are fit or best fit talent which is available. So the two partners started GroYouth almost uh, a year, 4 months, year 3 months back. Yes,
Perfect. And what part of the business are you managing? This is there a CEO?
I am the COO. Yes. So
Perfect.
I
So you're
manage
handling
the
all of the
basic
operations.
operations. Yeah, I manage the basic operations. The tech is managed by my partner. Basic operations I handle. I handle the market interface. I handle the way the employees are supposed to be spoken to. So I handle the sales piece of it, operations piece of it, and outreach to different partners because we are an ecosystem where it's more vendor driven. It's more market driven. So we have aggregated. So this is maybe one of the portals, which is very rare right now. It's not available anywhere. It's like a collaborative model where the vendors come on board and support the requirements as posted by a company. So, say for example, if a company says, "I want people in uh, 10 towns within India," I have vendor channels which are available. As I was mentioning, we are driven by vendor ecosystem. So what we are doing is we have brought in 500 plus vendors on the platform who have the capability of sourcing people, and they're from so many cities across India. Now they could be freelance recruiters, they could be training partners, they could be small recruitment agencies, There could be people who are field mobilizers. There could be career counselors. So we are bringing the complete ecosystem onto one platform. So an employer, I'll just give you an example for you to understand. Say, for example, if a company says, okay, as I was mentioning, we want to hire about say 10 people across 10 locations in India. Now it will approach a normal staffing organization as a vendor or multi vendors to help them source people for these locations. Now suddenly the business team says, I also want, because the technology has changed or there is some change in business process, I want them also to be trained. Then the HR of the company would approach a training agency, right?
Got it.
Once that is done, then they will say, okay, let us now assess the candidates, whether they're skilled properly, are they upskilled properly. Then you hire a trainer, then you do go to a assessment agency, try and find out assessment solutions. By the time you actually have the candidate ready for the job, right? A lot of changes within the organization or the structural changes in the project would have happened. So what we bring on table is complete ecosystem in one place. That means it has training centers, it has training partners, it has ground mobilizers, it has we have our own assessment which we call GYSAT. So on the employability side, a candidate can actually appear in a GYSAT, which is a self-assessment test, which gives him a SWOT kind of analysis, which says, okay, these are your strengths, these are your weaknesses. You should identify that this is what is matching in your profile for a certain job role. Now, everybody cannot be a developer, everybody cannot be a salesperson, right? So there has to be some differential, unless and until a candidate actually identifies and says, okay, this is what I know, or this is what I am right now. He's more prepared in terms of approaching a job. One, maybe reskill or upskill himself for the purpose of the requirement of the marketplace. So all the stakeholders are brought onto one platform. That is what GroYouth is all about. So both on the employability side, that means how employable a candidate is, and on the employment side, that means all services are provided on a single platform, on a single interface to the employer. He doesn't have to go multi-vendor and try and search solutions.
Perfect. And you did mention that your background was in steel and government contracts, right? So how was this transition like for you? Like, were you already used to this kind of an employability structure, or did you have to learn a lot of these things from
Yeah,
scratch?
when India actually started doing skill development projects across India, way back in 2008 9 onwards, right? I was a part of an organization where, so at that point in time, the companies were we wanted people to be skilled. So we hired certain skill training centers, took help from different organizations. So right from that point onwards, and it was a government sponsored project. It was funded by the government of India. Then I had also worked in an organization in Tamil Nadu, south of India, where in Chennai, which was a joint collaboration between the government of India and the government of Tamil Nadu. So educational technology, reaching out to colleges, trying to bring in curriculum which is industry ready, industry fit, getting the faculties trained, getting the candidates trained. So yes, it has been a journey where I have learned a few things for understanding what the companies require, what is the mismatch between the expectation of a candidate and what the expectation of the employer. So if both match, I think we would have done a good job. So that is what we envisage to do with GroYouth.
Brilliant. So, can I ask you more about the product? So, you said this is an aggregator tool, right? So, uh, is there any kind of educational or let's say finishing school services that you provide to these candidates, or is it only the GY stat score that you provide?
No, so if you actually look at let's look at let's look at one stakeholder, which is a candidate. First thing is when he's looking for a job, he needs to evaluate where he stands in the marketplace in terms of analyzing his strengths and weaknesses. That is the basis, which we call GYSAT. Now that he appears in the GYSAT, which is free for any candidate to undergo, he finds out what is his strength, what are the weaknesses, where certain amount of training is required for him to fit in for a particular job role for which he is trying to apply. That's part number one. Part number two is after that, he has training centers available where he can skill himself. Third, he has career counselors to guide him and tell him that this is how this is the progression or this is the career path which you can opt for. Services or provisions for the candidate is one, he is able to find out how fit he is for the market. That's one. Two, we conduct AI interviews for which are job related. So, say for example, every job has a job description. It has certain skills, certain things which a candidate should know, both in terms of experience, in terms of technology, in terms of functional domain. So, those things we conduct an AI interview, which is a video interview. Now, that is available for a candidate to see is he job ready for that particular job role. So, let us drill down to one part. One is self assessment, where he says, fine, I'm good to go in the marketplace. And this is the best fit or best kind of job which I can apply for. That is part number one. The second thing which he needs to look at is he job ready? That means if he wants to apply for a job, does he have the skill sets for those jobs, for that particular job? That AI interview or GYSAT plus, there are, so GYSAT is one part, one product. The second product is GYSAT plus, which drills down into specific skills. Third is a JD based interview, which is a job description based interview, which is fine. Are you prepared to appear in an interview on this subject and for this job role? So it actually prepares the candidate. When we say that, a
And
lot of candidates in India are non-employable, graduates passing out of the colleges, engineers passing out of the colleges, the company says they're not fit for my company, right? Now, what is this fitment? The fitment actually is the candidate does not know what the company is expecting. He does not know whether he is fit for the job which he is applying for. He just blindly goes on a job board and starts applying, right? There's a vacancy which is available. He is among another 10,000 or 20,000 or 50,000 candidates who are actually applying. Unless and until, as a candidate, you evaluate and see where you stand, you pick and choose, you select where you're good at. If you're not good at something, go and upskill yourself. Then apply back on the job roles which seem that you'll be able to do, right? So it gives them a choice. It's not just by chance. So these are the services which are weaved around a candidate. Now let us look at the employer side. The employer has to look at three, four things primarily. Is the candidate available? That is, there's a consent. So we take a consent from the candidate. It's not a blind apply that we just share his profile with an employer. The candidate gives his consent. Yes, he wants to apply for these jobs. So it is consent management there. That is what we undertake. The second is that we have a complete engine which takes care of the matching of his profile, of his resume or his CV with the job description which the employer has provided. It also has the GYSAT score which the candidate has appeared, that is also visible to the employer. The fourth piece is if he wants, the AI interview can be conducted based on a specific JD or a job description requirement. So, what an employer looks at is one, fitment of the candidate to the job, fitment of the candidate to the company environment, that means his aptitude, his basic teamwork, the way he approaches the problem, all those basic characteristics, human characteristics. I think that is something also which plays a very, very critical role in uh, looking at a fitment of a candidate in a company. The third piece is for the business team who is hiring this team member, whomever they are trying to hire, does that person fit in terms of technology, in terms of functional knowledge, in terms of experience into that particular team?
yeah,
And then a company looks at what cost this candidate I'm able to get. So if you look at both the sides of things, if the candidate knows that's fine, I know my skills, I know my strengths and weaknesses, I know how prepared I am for a particular job, right? He applies. He applies knowing what is the job description, knowing what is the job role, what kind of team, what kind of environment he'll be working in. From the employer side, it is a fast hire. It is an easy hire. Just try and understand the kind of uh, you know uh, time and money and effort the company puts in terms of identifying the best fit candidate for a particular business team, for a particular client facing or a internal development team or a sales profile or even a picker and packer, even a person who is working in a petrol pump, even if a person is working as a technician in a repair shop. There's a lot of effort which goes in from the company side in terms of identifying the best fit candidate. Here, since GroYouth is a vendor driven place, it's like an aggregator platform. There, just assume there are 100 vendors which are supporting five requirements. The number of profiles which are filtered through our engine, AI engine, it helps to point down to certain profiles which are the best fit. Like we'll say, this is 100%, this is 90%, this is 80%, this is 70%, this is 40%, and so on and so forth. Right? So the company is able to identify the right set of candidates to initiate the interview. And the first round is automatically done literally because the whatever is the requirement of the company, it's already checked. Availability of the candidate, his basic knowledge, fitment, his strengths and weaknesses, and a, AI interview if required. So GYSAT is conducted on every candidate who applies for a job. So the process
Perfect.
of hiring becomes much easier for a HR or for a company to find the right candidate rather than looking at 500 profiles and then rejecting 499 out of that. That is a lot of time and effort. So the cost of hiring becomes less, the time of hiring becomes less. So HR stack, tech stack of GY, of GroYouth, ensures that all these portions are taken care of because before the candidate is presented to the company.
Brilliant. So can I ask you what's your turnaround time? Like, let's say, for example, if I were to apply for a job with you and I said, or I mean, I'm applying it through a vendor and I go through to them and I say, listen, I'm looking for a job and this is what I have to bring to the table. So I'm guessing that vendor who is associated, partnered with you would give you my profile. And can you tell me how long it would take for me to find a job if I were to take this route?
So there are two methods or there are two ways in which we can look at it. One, a candidate directly comes on the GroYouth as a platform, registers himself or herself on a platform as a candidate or as a job seeker and updates his profile, takes the GY test free, right? Now his profile is there in the system. The system is able to tell him these are the five profiles, Georgie, which are good, or these are the five jobs where you actually fit in your current skill sets. This is where you fit in. You can apply for those jobs directly. That's one. The second part is if you have been mobilized or if you have been brought in by a vendor of ours who updates your profile remains in the system for about 90 days for any job role which is fitting in with your skill sets and the companies which are pushing in their requirements of specific openings. You also have to look at two, three things here. One, the candidate would have appeared in a GYSAT, we would know his SWOT score. So any employer, when they're looking at the profile of, say, Georgie, for a particular job role, they would have seen your CV, which is a normal resume which we make. Second, they would have also seen your GY score in terms of your personal traits, in terms of your technical knowledge, in terms of your numerical ability, in terms of your team working, and so on and so forth. That's SWOT analysis and marking they would have seen. Third portion is if they want or the organization also says, okay, I also want the candidates to go through a GYSAT plus. That means job specific questions. You ask them these 10 questions, please ask them. That they also know, and they also know the score. So if Georgie's profile actually fits in with say one job opening or two job openings or three job openings, the system will suggest you on your dashboard. We give you a dashboard as a candidate. You log in and you see, fine, this is what is available, and you apply. Now, so it is completely backed, as I said, it is a complete tech stack. So the employer is able to see you on his dashboard, his or her dashboard, check your profile, check your scores, and then decide to interview. So it's an informed decision rather than just looking at what you've written in your CV or your resume.
Fair enough. So the journey for me is it's actually quite streamlined enough for me to directly apply for these jobs. It's more of like a another LinkedIn, but then you're trying to make it easier for me. You're also making me more employable if
Yes,
required.
yes. Because see,
Fair enough.
any tool, Georgie, any solution which is available, the focus is not a candidate mostly, right? Candidates are looking for an opportunity where they go to all the job boards and simply go and apply. They do not know whether they fit in there. There is no counselor, there is no career counselor who can actually sit down and counsel and tell you online that this does not fit. So, but you get frustrated that I see I applied for 300 jobs. I was not even shortlisted anywhere, right? Now, just assume every youth in India does go through this cycle when they're trying to enter the job market. So, if a candidate is prepared, knows his strengths and weaknesses, knows which kind of jobs he's good for, he applies for those companies. From the employer side, they also know who is the person they are hiring without even looking at you right from point one, right? So it gives them a good, uh, so it's more like a match rather than just trying to understand, okay, what this candidate would know, does how does he talk, what kind of emotional balance does he have, will he fit into my company? All those questions get sorted out the moment the candidate takes up the GYSAT. So his stability, the way he approaches the problem, the way he functions, all these are taken care of.
I was actually thinking that it's sort of like a matchmaking system by itself. And I wanted to ask you, what's your success rate like? Let's say, for example, if I apply for 100 jobs, like is there a possibility that within the hundredth or the 200th application that I crack a job? Do you have those metrics with you?
Yeah, so I will look at the question like this, Jordan. Now, say for example, my profile or your profile is suggested to 10 companies. It is the employer or the HR of the employer who looks at all these profiles, looks at the fitment. The chances here, and I'm actually, we can very proudly say that suppose if I have 10 profiles, seven people have undergone interviews, which is a very, very welcome change. In a very short period of time, we have been able to achieve that. So just imagine the kind of ratios where if the complete ecosystem, the vendor is also supporting the lot of profiles which are coming in, system is able to filter it through, provide the best fit profiles to the employer, and those candidates get interviewed, selected, offered the way the journey happens. The success ratios there in terms of application to interview, those ratios have drastically improved with this, and this is what we wanted to actually help the candidates and also the employers to ensure that they get the best candidate and the candidate gets the best fit company for him. So we always look at whether this guy is fit or this person is fit for my company. The employee also will look at, do I fit into the kind of environment where, or do I fit into this company as well? So both sides are able to view. So suppose if you have applied or I have applied with 10 companies, I'm shortlisted in three. They interviewed me. They ask me domain questions or technical questions with their business because the first round is already literally over because all the information which I was supposed to go, that my name is Sanjeev and I'm from this is the kind of experience which I have, this is what I know. All those informations are already available with the employer in form of a GYSAT score and the profile, right? So it becomes the communication between the employer and the candidate becomes much faster. As I said, the time of hire and the cost of hire drastically reduces in this.
So let me go back to, I mean, we already spoke about the employee side of things, right? Can I ask you, as an employer, if I approach you, and what would actually make me want to employ candidates from your portal or the ones that you bring me? Is there what would drive the kind of a confidence in me?
Sure. So if you look at the traditional method of hiring, you have different agencies which are staffing or recruitment agencies across India, multiple locations, almost spread throughout India, right? So if you are an employer, you would go to your staffing agency and say, okay, I want to hire, say, for a sales executive in Mumbai for uh, about 10 of them, or some people who are going to uh, do fintech sales in Hyderabad, or somebody in NCR, right? Now the the options which we are giving, we have got a package called GY portal. That means if you don't want to hire, and all these agencies function on something called a success fees, which ranges from 8.33, which is 1 month of salary, to about 12% and above, depending on the kind of role which you're hiring for. As I said, the cost of hiring, right? Now, in our case, we have options for an employer to look at only database. That means they say, like in any job board, they go and purchase a subscription. They can take similar subscription on GroYouth, and we give them AI vetted profiles. We recruiters and the vendors will help them in terms of asking the questions which they would require as the first cut from the candidates. So these are services in the GY score is provided to the candidates who are applying for this, who are those. There are packages which are available where they can only purchase the services of the database. That's one. No success. So they hire and they don't pay us as a service out of as a success fees out of that. Second model is which says because I have a lot of vendors to support the functions or support the requirements, the cost of acquisition becomes much lower. It is not 8.33, right? So those things are also can be taken as a higher service. So there are two services. One which is called uh, GY portal. The second service is called GY hire. The third is GY assessment. Suppose if they don't want to hire from us, perfectly fine. They can only get the assessments done. They can only get the AI interviews done. They can only they can also hire us for their vendor management. So say for example, larger organization has they have multi vendor systems. So for a similar function, since our solution or our ERP is in that shape where they can actually onboard all their vendors and manage the same recruitment process through us. Even that is available. So it is, as I said, it's a it's a it's an aggregator platform or it's an aggregated platform where all the providers are in one place. It's for the employer to choose whether they want to just take the services of profiles, they want to give or pay for services on success of joining of the candidate. They just want assessment services. They just want interview services. All those are available.
Brilliant. Now, the thing is, I have always told people every time they approach me in terms of, let's say, uh, with an idea, and I'd say that it's always easy to get people who are looking for jobs, but it's always difficult to get people who are hiring, right? So
Yeah.
can I ask you, if you're not comfortable with sharing the exact numbers, can I at least ask you what's your ratio in terms of these are the number of jobs versus these are the number
Yeah,
of
at any
candidates that
point
we
in
have?
time, if you look at today, Georgie, I have close to about 43 to 44 employers live with the number of open positions to close to 170.
Okay.
That is that is at one ratio. The second way of looking at it is the total. in say about 6 months of time frame, it's about 2,300 candidates requirement.
At the- Got it. At one point, it's 2,300 uh,
Yeah,
candidates.
yeah.
Got it. And
Because
you've been
it will be
around for like one.
multi-location. Yeah, so same profile, multi-location. It could be different profiles. It could be different job roles. Same location, but different job roles. So there are multiple companies which are live. There are multiple vendors attached to each job requirement, depending on the location and depending on the kind of profile they can service. So you can actually assume once this grows into a full-fledged ecosystem, it will be much larger in terms of services. It will go into lakhs.
Fair enough. So you've been around for good 1.5 years. So what was your growth trajectory like? How long did it take you to build the tech stack? When did you first finally launch, uh, go to market?
We actually started on 15th of August. We launched last year on 15th of August. And it has taken good 1 year for us now, where the tech stack has stabilized. We'll have, employers have come in, customers have come in, they've tested the workflows, they've seen how it is working, how convenient it is, how convenient it is for them to hire. Vendors in the system have also joined in, as I said, and those people have also understood how the system works because they were not used to. They used to only send profiles through a email or a WhatsApp, right? Now they are using a technology where they log in into the system, they go to their dashboard, view whether a candidate is shortlisted by the company or no, right? So all those things are a very happy sign for us because we have been in the industry for quite some time now. We understand that employers do not come and check and change the status of a company of a candidate from a shortlisted to interview to offer and so on and so forth, which is done by the other person who's managing that stack. But we are happy to say that we are seeing that progress and that participation from the employers on the tech stack, which is the win of it. Actually, if you look at it. So you would have not seen a medical doctor entering his prescription anywhere in the application. There were beautiful applications which are available, and hence medical prescription came into India, right? So here we are seeing that tech stack change. So it has taken good 1 year for us for the tech stack to stabilize, for the users to accept it or the stakeholders to accept it, and I think we are in the right place right now because the market requires people, uh, primarily freshers, more of them freshers. Colleges, academia is struggling to provide fresher jobs. There are a lot of people who are looking for the opportunities. We bring them on board. So tech stack stability is critical when you're going en masse, and I think we are good at that now.
Brilliant. Is there one number that you are very proud of? For example, let's say like about 3 years back, I built my own first startup and it was a matchmaking platform. And I was quite happy to hear that one of two of our candidates, they got married, right? Like that was like a really big successful, the first 3 months into building this tech product, I see the first marriage happening. And I'm like, okay, that's a good successful metric for me,
Yeah,
right? Something that you look at personally and that you're very proud of.
I'm literally proud every day because every day is progress. Number one. Number two is when we see a person sitting in a small place, like say even Aligarh in Meerut, in smaller towns in Karnataka or smaller towns in Maharashtra, smaller towns in Gujarat, Rajasthan, when they get selected into a company which is maybe Bangalore, which was earlier out of their reach, that gives the satisfaction that yes, we are on the right path, we are doing good. Because if I'm able to reach out to that candidate, normally, if I was sitting out of Bangalore, it would have been very difficult to find a candidate in Jaipur. But since now I have a vendor or a partner available with me in Jaipur, I have that probability. And if I'm able to give these jobs to people who actually need it for starting of their career, starting of their journey of life, I think that satisfaction is the biggest one as far as I'm concerned, personally. And we did this in October last year. We
Got
started
it.
in August.
That's beautiful. I mean, it's very fulfilling to know that you can actually like transform somebody else's life, especially someone coming from a tier two, tier three city. Like I personally am from Kochi, and then for me, luckily, finding my first job was easy. But then back in 2013, when I first started my career, it was not the Kochi that I know of today, right? We
Yeah,
were still tier two, tier three at that
yeah.
point.
And also, Georgie, if you look at, the technology is changing so fast. The job requirements are changing so fast. What was necessary yesterday is not necessary today, or there would have been certain add up tomorrow. So unless and until all the candidates come up to that point that they can actually compete for the job, I think if we are able to, as Guru, that is the mission which we have. So if we are able to actually fulfill that we tell the candidate that fine, this is what you know today. There's nothing wrong in it, but you need to identify the gap and try and fill that. You'll survive longer. You'll grow faster. If we are able to handhold all these candidates of ours or all our students and get them into alignment with what they know and what they can do, I think that identification itself would be a big success for us.
So in terms of the candidates, right, do you charge them something for the entire
Nothing,
training process? There's
nothing at all,
no,
nothing
okay,
at all.
so it's a light
GroYouth
service that
doesn't,
you're
yeah,
providing.
GroYouth doesn't charge anything from the candidates. In terms of
That's
any
brilliant.
services which you're offering right now. In terms, they go to a career counselor and take specific career counselings. They pay the counselors in case they want to, or there's a charge. So there are people who are there on the platform. They could charge anything from the candidate or no charge. That is totally up to them. As I said, it's just an aggregated model. But as GroYouth, we do not charge anything from the candidate.
Is there a commission that you charge these vendors or these counselors for the
No, we
services
share,
rendered by
no,
them?
no, not the counselors. We share whatever we earn from the employers, we share 50% to the vendors.
Brilliant. That's nice. You're talking about the SWOT analysis that is done on candidates, right? I mean, I have a lot of questions, so I'm probably going to like nitpick on a couple of them and then we'll go to more important questions. But the SWOT analysis, is that automated and is that information provided to the candidates?
Yes, yes, it is. At this point in time, since the service is free, it gives the basic SWOT analysis of a person. But that SWOT analysis also gets attached to his profile, his or her profile. When an employer would look at their profile, they would also look at this SWOT analysis. So, yes, it is available with the candidate. They can publish it in their social handles, and it is also available to the employer.
Brilliant. Awesome. The next thing that I wanted to ask you was, is there something in your 1.5 years of existence that you just thought, okay, there's this one point you're like, okay, maybe we should just shut shop, like we cannot do this anymore. And how did you get through that stage, if it ever happened?
See, very frankly, I have been a worker all my life till now. Right. So this is my maybe second entrepreneurial thing which I've started. And I think there is so much of work, Georgie, and there's so much to actually put together. So yes, we get tired. Yes, we at times feel that these things may or may not work, but we are holding waters because we have that kind of an experience to understand that it takes market to accept a particular way of functioning, that differential, as we say, right? Because traditionally the methods are very, very different. As I told you, the HRs would expect that you send mails with 50 profiles attached to it. We don't, right? So there is a way method change in which we are telling them that this is what is available and this is what the advantage to you is, and they're slowly coming into fold. So I think yes, but we never actually thought till now, and I don't think we will, that we should shut shop and go because we are doing good. One, two, there is acceptability. Third, whatever we are trying to do does help both the stakeholders on the employability side and on the employment side. That means it helps the corporates or the companies. It also helps a candidate to identify what he or she can do, right? And that bringing in all these stakeholders together is a long journey. It's not something which can be achieved in a year, 2 years, or a 3 year of time frame. I think certainly it would require a longer haul or a longer work as a process because market dynamics change. People have a lot of inputs to give you, which we also take. We also talk to a lot of people, a lot of employers, a lot of candidates, a lot of vendors of ours, a lot of business partners, a lot of vendor partners of ours. Understand where there is a missing piece. We may be overlooking it, right? But when we are doing it together, I think that is something which is critical to us, and that is what the learning exercise is. Oh, it'll certainly grow. We have never thought, and I don't think we would think of saying thank you to this. It's something which we
Brilliant.
love to do.
Can I ask you how big is your team currently?
My team is on the tech side and the marketing side, it would be about 16 people. On my sales, vendor support, customer success would be about 11 people.
And in your hiring process, did you hire them through these vendors or did you use another platform?
No, it was mostly referentials. It was mostly people who we knew, and we wanted young people to come into the fold, not experienced, too experienced people. So we just wanted to teach them as well. So if you look at, we have two offices. One is in Bangalore, which is the right hub, and the second office is in Lucknow. So we wanted to seed this in Lucknow as well, or smaller cities as well, where people need to understand how this whole thing works, right? There are a lot of companies which will come in into smaller places. Businesses will also evolve. How to source? So if you look at, if I open a business, I need person. So this requirement will be in any company at any place across India, any city across India, right? So the people or the team needs to understand the basic nuance of that. It's not, everybody says, okay, top 5 cities, top 10 cities are the best. And the provisions are good, the people are good, business is good, opportunities are brilliant. Yes, but opportunities are also there in smaller locations. We just need to look at it, right? So we brought in young team which understands how and they go through the grind every day with us, and we're so happy for them.
Got it. The reason I asked you this was because, like I said, when I built my startup, people kept asking me, like, are you building a dating app for you to find a partner? So
Okay.
the reason I brought up this question was because I wanted to understand if you hired people through your own platform, right?
We as I said, no, we started operations on 15th of August. We launched it on 15th of August. Now that was the
Got it.
first set of 3 people, 4 people, which we started with, right? Young kids
Okay.
just trying to understand, and maybe they're for jobs, fresh grads out of college, or some 1 year, 1 month or 2 months, 3 months of experience in the field. For them to come and suddenly understand, Acha, I'm talking to somebody in Bangalore, I'm talking to somebody in Chennai, I'm talking to somebody in Bombay, I'm also talking on a call where we actually launched it. So there were a lot of the 2 3 companies which had come in to see what we are doing, and some vendor partners which had also come in by then on the platform. So when they saw this, it's a sea change from the way you are working in smaller towns or smaller locations or smaller offices. The exposure is immense. So when they are talking to the customers now, or when they are talking to the vendors now, that confidence is shown in their behavior, in the way they carry themselves, the way they communicate. I think that empowerment internally we could bring in because we had uh, a fresh team, we had young team which can actually look at, because ultimately what we are trying to do is to bring jobs to these people only, or people similar to them in the marketplace, right? So they understand what is required for these candidates to get a job. And I think that understanding it also helped us groom ourselves back, relearn with my age or with the kind of experience. So unpack certain things, relearn, just try and understand how dynamics work in the marketplace today. Because we look at it from a very business angle. We don't look at it from the person angle. So I think Young team
Got it.
gives you that plus which we always needed.
If I were to ask you, what is the one metric or number that's the most challenging for you? That's something that is keeping you up at nights on a daily basis. If there's something at all, it could be about marketing. I don't know.
See, reach out to the market is the most critical part, because if you're not able to tell the story, if you're not able to tell what you're trying to achieve or what you're trying to uh, you know enable, I think that is something which is the critical piece for us. We know internally we are doing good. We have good tech stack available with us. We have good tools available with us. We have good set of people available with us. Good number of partners available with us. How to reach out to larger organizations? How to reach out to academic institutions? Because ultimately the participation will come from there. So where the candidate is, if you look at, candidate is available in the towns, candidate is available in small places, but where are they primarily available? They are available in ITI, they are available in colleges, they are available pursuing final semester of MBA, in final year of graduation, final year of engineering. Those are the people who are going to come into the marketplace. They're going to come and see a job. Reaching out to the large, because you look at the length and the breadth of India is like pretty large. So reaching out city by city, college by college, location by location is, yes, a tedious task, but that is what keeps us going, because we have to ultimately reach out to everybody and say, this is what is available. Why don't you use this? Right. So this certainly gives us a good drive every day morning with a cup of coffee. Yes, it does.
And your space do have, I mean, it does have a chicken and egg problem, right? Where if you have too many job seekers versus too few employers, there is also a big gap. So I think in terms of scale, also you'll have to look at both angles, I guess, on
So
a regular
balancing,
basis.
yeah, balancing on both the sides, Georgie, at the initial period, initial phases of any startup, of any company, right? That is something which you have to look at, you have to manage, just to ensure that if the traffic increases, do I have the number of people to support? If I have more number of people to support, do I have more amount of work for them? Am I addressing all the things which are supposed to be, addressed on both sides? Because being an aggregated platform, yes, we have to look at all those things, which certainly brings in, as I said, it certainly brings in the moments of excitement, I would say, not rather in terms of we are not dragged down by, okay, how will this happen? We work towards it, we plan, we approach, we talk to the vendor partners, as I said, since they are spread in multiple cities, they all also help us engaging with the institutions which are there, with the providers which are there, small recruitment agencies which are there, companies which are there. So they get an opportunity to expand in their local area, and I think that is a big thing to achieve if we are able to scale up to that point, which we certainly will.
So finally, can I ask you what's the future like for you? So I think you started August 15th, which means that you're going to be celebrating a year of Grow Youth. What is the next August 15th going to be like for Grow Youth?
And so for us, it's naturally, as I said, it's a learning cycle, it's a evolution cycle. We also have to look at that we build in certain platforms for services by other providers. Now, this is something which is only as far as the recruitment practice goes, right? But it also involves training. It also requires a full-fledged psychometric assessment patterns. It also requires certain things where background verifications are required. There are locations, there are companies which are looking at payroll partners who don't directly onboard the candidates themselves. They do it through a third party. All those things need to be built up in the system. So the first thing is that the core is developed, working properly. There are a lot of tractions available or happening there. Now we will build in services, we'll build in products, build in technology towards the larger reach out, because there are a lot of things which can be done the moment you are there in smaller towns and cities, tier 2, tier 3. There are a lot of gaps. There are a lot of training which is required for these people to even prepare for an interview. So if I put somebody in an interview or for video interview with a client sitting out of some place, this person does not talk. There's a large gap because you have to then ensure that this person at least goes through about 10 minutes of briefing, saying, fine, you're good, and just talk what you want to. That confidence, I think, once that comes in. But for that, naturally, tech stacks need to be developed to reach out and candidates to practice interviews. They need to, go through certain exercises of this nature. And I think we have a large roadmap ahead of us because there are a lot of technology shifts, technology changes. AI is playing a very critical role in terms of shaping up a lot of services which are built around HR tech specifically, or in terms of the recruitment space. And a lot of agents are being developed for doing certain jobs. Those things, and once there is a technology shift in the marketplace, there are a lot of opportunities where new jobs will evolve, new profiles will evolve, new kind of job roles will come up in the company, right? To service that, you require people to be trained, you require people to be groomed, you require people to be assessed, you require people to actually understand what this job would mean for them for next 5 years to 10 years, right? So, as I said, the journey will evolve through a period of time. And naturally, we are set for that because we understand how the market works to a certain extent and how the hiring patterns are within the industry. So that gives us the roadmap for next 2 to 3 years. It does. We certainly have a roadmap in hand. We would certainly like to bring in learning training services. We would certainly like to bring psychometric testing patterns or assessment. We would certainly like to bring in and involve a community into this. We would certainly also like to go and talk to all these CSR companies which are spending a lot of large foundations, which are spending a lot of work, a lot of money, a lot of effort with doing social good. I think joining hands together and providing them a platform to also view the outcomes of their interventions. I think there's a lot to be done.
Perfect. Before we wrap up this conversation, I just want to ask, are you looking for funding? And this is a two-pronged question. So if you were to, let's say, if I were to invest 25 lakhs into your company, where would that money go?
One, I am not requiring, we are not looking for funding right now. I think it's too early for us to get into it. But whatever, suppose if somebody invests there, it will go into two things, or it may go into two things. One is the tech stack development, which naturally is the critical backbone, or is the requirement, and second, the outreach. Outreach is something which is necessary for the for the stakeholders to look at you, right? And that is where the money is mostly required. Once they are able to view at you, you can prove that yes, you are good, right? Your services are good, your people are good, the provisions are good, the way it is structured is good, it is easy. But to make somebody come and see you is the exercise.
Got it. Brilliant. So Sanjeev, I have to thank you for your time. I think we spent a good 1 hour on this conversation. I know we were expecting not more than 30 to 40 minutes. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate what you're doing. I think it's a good transformative journey for people that are your stakeholders, and uh, there's a lot of scope for what you're building. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you. So nice of you. Thank you for having me, Jordan. Thank you. Bye.